Welcome to Tent Talk, the podcast with Nancy McCready, where we talk about life under the big tent of God's presence and the provoking process of discipleship. Here we go.
All right, my friends, this may be the shortest ever Here We Go episode. I am, as promised, coming to you from my apartment in Portsmouth, UK. And I had hoped to be able to share very wonderful and deep and thoughtful things with you today as I am traveling. Yet, I find myself with a very short window of time to record because I have been problem solving here in my apartment because I couldn't figure out how to work the hot water. So I have been talking to this apartment, okay, not recording this episode. So how many of you know that there are moments when, in the grand scheme of the eternal purpose of God, hot water heaters are not the biggest thing on the radar? So there are moments when it feels like it's really big. And then you have to remember, no, this is not the biggest thing going on. I cannot let it capture my day or my thoughts. It did capture a few minutes or let's just say more minutes than I had to spare. And so I will be talking to my leasing agent. And I am certain they are an excellent leasing company. I've used them before and they were phenomenal. They're very responsive. They communicate well. And I am attempting to communicate well to them. And I'm certain that we're going to work it out. It's a sweet little apartment. It's different than the one I had before. But I have to tell you, this morning I was longing for my previous apartment. But it's a very sweet little apartment. It has a great little view, still here in the same part of town, all of that. And it was so funny because when I was probably at the peak of my frustration this morning, I'm re-listening to my own podcast because sometimes when I want to continue a thought, or I want to pick up where I left off, or just simply be reminded, what did I share previously, so that I can either expand on that or maybe just not repeat myself of things I've already told you about the travels and where we are and where we're going. So I'm kind of at the peak of my frustration, and I hear myself on the podcast as I'm reviewing it, just like you would pull out your notes and review your notes before you might move on to the next thing you're doing. And one of the items on there, which this was my rule of life that I was talking about just in the previous episode, and one of the points was comfort is not my goal. And I started laughing so hard. And I thought, Father, now let me just see. I need to discern, is this of you? Are you working something in me? Or is this one of those things that I need to face head on and get it resolved and get it dealt with? So this is a part of the Here We Go episodes, is that which happens when you're traveling. I'm glad to say that Tina has landed back in Florida and is secure at home and has arrived home safely. I am here in Portsmouth until Sunday evening, and then I travel to London and catch my flight on Monday, March 30th. And hopefully, if you are one of those email subscribers, you have our prayer map and itinerary where you know pretty much everything I'm doing and that you're praying. Now, don't spend lots of time on the water heater, but maybe a little bit of time, okay? So It's very interesting, the things that are unfolding here. Very interesting. So in the midst of dealing with the temporal, the very temporary, small issues of life, we are also moving in the grand scheme of the Father. Yes, we are. We are learning to walk in two dimensions at the same time. We don't want to ignore either. We don't want to be, what's the old quote that says, you're so heavenly minded, you're of no earthly good, right? We want to definitely be in the heavens seated with Christ, but also giving him walkings in the earth, right? And this is a learned way of life, my friends. We are learning every day because this is not a formula. And comfort isn't my goal. But it doesn't mean that there are not comforts. We don't want to require things of ourselves that the Father is not requiring. But if it's him, then we must yield. And I want you to be encouraged today in this very, very short episode. I want you to be encouraged. I want you to remember who you are to him. I want to give a big, big thanks to the women of Aglow in the Netherlands. What an amazing, amazing 2 days that we had with the conference and the 1 day that we had with the core leaders. That was amazing. I watched the Father through, let's say, 3 generations. From 23 years of age all the way up. I know there had to be women there in their 70s, maybe even a couple in their early 80s. All the way through the generations and watching them hear the Father. Watching them awaken to him. Because I tell you, the Galatians 3 voodoo was breaking very strongly. And the responsiveness to him and his love for them, his call to them, was so intense, very rich, very strong. So I give great thanks for allowing me to have the opportunity to be there with them. And I look forward to the next time. So I'm heading out today with Alex. We will be working. We're headed up to a work spot where we will spend the day strategizing, working on several projects, not just Oxford, but several projects that we have working all at the same time. And I know that it's going to be producing and bearing fruit. Every journey, every trip, every location, every conversation I find is so producing. And I am grateful to all of you for being in this journey with me and allowing me to be in the journey with you. If we don't tell the truth, my friends, if we're not transparent, if we don't let others see what it really means, to just keep walking, I think we don't pay our debt forward. We owe a debt to all of those who walk with us and come after us, don't we? And we need to make certain that we share his life and the realness of his life, and that nobody knows about living more than God, and he's teaching us how to live. So let him love you today very deeply, and I look forward. There may even be a bonus episode that comes on the Here We Go. I might do one Tuesday and Wednesday, but I want to make sure that you know that you're loved by him, and that we here at NMM, we are praying over you. So, until next time, my friends, here we go.
Information on Nancy, please visit nancymccready.com or follow her on social media at NB McCready.